Good evening. Queers have come a long way from Stonewall in 1969. We've come out of the closet, made films about our lives, and started fighting for the right to be married. And we've even started having children. But like Julius Robert Oppenheimer in the atom bomb, we may never have taken the time to ask whether or not we should. Is it possible that with our high-speed pursuit of to be accepted as equals and prove that we can do anything that the heterosexual can do, we might be making a terrible mistake? Are all the panic mongers right? Will children raised by queers stand apart from other kids? Little Toby misses his first day of school because he's got nothing to wear. It's Toby with an I because Toby with a Y is Toby. Toby, would you like to sing Twinkle Twinkle or Itsy Bitsy Spider? Do you know La Donna Nobile from Rigoletto? Imagine the makeup on the daughter of Bull Tykes. Boffo the clown goes to town. And I can hear the jokes now. What does the daughter of lesbians bring to her second date? An ovulation test. And what about that awkward conversation when we have to explain the birds and the birds? Where's my mummy? India. See, sweetie, when a daddy and a daddy love each other very much and have heaps of money, on the other hand, queers are not haphazard about wanting to raise their kids. I mean, when was the last time you saw a queer at an abortion clinic? So, let's nut it out, no pun intended, in tonight's debate, only heterosexuals should have children. Now, tonight I am your fairy godmother, Remy Scholten. You're watching Ben TV, and this is our exclusive panel. Hello, panel. How are we tonight?
Good.
Well, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Now, we're going to start over from this end, from Joy Radio and, well, Chick Club 80 sometimes. Dean Beck, how are you today, Dean?
I'm very well. Great to be with you. Thank you.
Fantastic. That was embarrassing, wasn't it? From everywhere, Linzi Kurileff, how are you today?
Not from everywhere. I actually do have a base somewhere.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. I haven't found that yet, but it's coming.
and basically, again, bless his cotton socks, he's come in at the last moment to cover a couple of guests that weren't able to come today. Andy McNamara, thank you very much, Andy, for joining us today.
Pleasure, Remy. Thanks for having me.
But he does have a point to make. He was very clear about that. Now, on my better side, we've got now these people, by the way, are arguing that it's true that children should be left to heterosexuals. Arguing against it and saying that queers can have kids and do it just as well, if not better. I've got Mr. Dean Arcuri. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good, and he's recently had a show. Was it?
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
A Midsummer Night's Dean. What a wonderful pun that is. And so basically from Round Theatre. And welcome back to our screens from a long time ago, Mr. David Johnson Bell.
Thank you, Remy.
And now you may notice that there's an empty chair at the end of the panel. Now we did have some guests that weren't able to come today, so we've got a very, well, I won't say a special mystery guest. We've got a mystery guest. Basically, we don't know who it is yet, so we'll come back to that. All right, let's get things started. Now, we're going to start with the people who say that homosexuals should have children. Dean Arcuri, take it away.
Thank you very much, Remy, and thank you for starting with the most attractive debatist. Game's on. Why should I settle for being a gunkle, a gay uncle, instead of being a father? Saying that heterosexuals are the only ones that should be allowed to have children is as ridiculous as saying that Tori Spelling would have had a television career if it wasn't for her father, or that Kylie is actually the better Minogue when it's really Danny. What a magical world it would be if heterosexuals could pick and choose to have things the way they wanted. Oh, but let's not stop there. I'd like to give heterosexuals my calories from the other day, this spare tyre that's sitting around my waist, perhaps my taxes, and it would be handy if they could go to the dentist for me, pick up the shopping, and also take my hangover from the other night at the Peel. Why should we stop at homosexuals? Let's not let the ugly people have children, or the redheads, or the ones with a receding headline. Sorry, Remy, about that. Actually, that might not be such a bad idea, but I'm getting off track. And don't even get me started. If it's only the straights, what do we do with the bisexuals? It's just ridiculous to say that one subsect of society should have children just because they can put a sausage into a clamshell instead of a hamburger. I won't even start on the oyster jokes, but it wouldn't work anyway. The only difference between us and them is our innate ability to dress better and that we are longer lasting lovers. And neither of these truths have anything to do with parenting. Let's get down to the crux of this issue. The straights are scared that if we have children, our children will then be entered into beauty pageants, and obviously we will be so fabulous that our children will win and their children won't even place. And let's face it, we deserve the right to screw up our children's lives and live vicariously through them just like the straights do. As I told my traditional Italian mother when I came out of the closet, being gay doesn't mean I won't have children, Mum. It just means that they'll be dressed better.
Fantastic, thank you very much. A gunkle, yeah, gunkles, yeah, I don't like gunkles. Now, let's turn to Mr. Andy McNamara. You're going to argue that children should be left to heterosexuals.
Totally, thank you, Remy. I do have one point, basically.
Just the one?
Look at nature, and I've made this point before, I think. Look at nature, a beehive is a good microcosm, an analogy for our world. In a beehive, there's the queen bee, lives her life, rules everything, does all the fabulous stuff. The drones do all the work. It's the same in the real world. We have gay people, gays and lesbians, who have to do the exciting, creative, important things that really matter. And then we've got straights that have to do all the boring shit that has to be done by someone. And child raising falls into, tram driving and house painting and all that sort of stuff. They've got to do that. We've got to, create television shows and look fantastic and go to parties. The important things that really have to be done and done properly. If we're distracted from our important work, what's going to happen to the world? And the other speaker on the other side referred to gunkles and gunts. There's no substitute for gunkles. Who's going to buy guns and who's going to buy purple nail polish for 2-year-olds? All those inappropriate presents that kids want now. They can just leave a message on the gay uncle's answering machine and they get anything. So, they need us, we need them, but we don't need queer people wasted on child raising. We've got so many much more important things to spend our creative talents, skills and abilities on. That's all.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Well said, Andy. Well
yeah,
said.
considering you come in from basically finding out today that you've got to do that, that's quite well. All right, well, I guess in ways of children and that sort of point, so far the debate with Pete on the test, we'll find some results later on. We'll be back after this break. Stick around. Welcome back, and we are having the debate tonight that having children should be left to heterosexuals, and we've got the two opposing teams. These people are saying that's correct, it should be left to heterosexuals, and these people are saying that no, of course not. Queers can have kids just as regularly and possibly do it better as well. Now, we'll just quickly sum up. You said basically.
Oh God, basically, quick sum up. It's not about putting a sausage in a hamburger bun, and I like Danny instead of Kylie.
Okay. So Dean is making his usual concise and clear point. Thank you, Dean. Andy, your point was?
Gays have got much more important things to do with their time.
All right, fantastic. Now, we do have a very, very special guest. You may notice there's an empty chair at the end. Unfortunately, one of our guests with children got the gastro, because that's what you get when you've got kids. So, a very special guest for this segment is me. Yeah, I'm going to go over there and be somebody else. But of course, I'm changing my role. So I'm changing my outfit. Moving over here. How's the light? And we'll start timing. All right. Now, I'm starting on a tangent here. Like, we all have straight friends and work acquaintances, and they're all like, yeah, I'm so cool with you. That's really great, and I'm really pro-queer and all that sort of stuff. But you know that when they're amongst each other, they're not going to stand up for you if somebody does a fag joke or that sort of stuff. And so these very pro people don't actually put it out there and put it up for the queers. That's bad phrasing. I do apologize. In the fight for marriage, 85% of people said, oh yeah, in 5 years' time, yeah, we'll probably have gay marriage. But not 85% of the people are doing that vote. So I think that considering that we're always being, people are always claiming that we're all about recruitment and that, we're trying to get more gays on our side, I'm with it. I say use DNA and let's make some. Let's get some little voters out there who are going to say, yeah, mum and dad, well, dad and mum and mum, they're all cool. And that should make a bit of a difference. Plus, we all know there's a very high suicide rate amongst homosexuals. Well, if they're actually growing up in that kind of environment, surely more of us are going to survive. And then when summer comes, we can swim up the river where we were spawned, and just live in a very happy gay land. Now, I have just sort of, well, no, actually, I'm finished. I'll go over to the host. Thank you very much, Remy. I do understand that you had no time at all to prepare for that, and I do appreciate that you had a very clear point. In fact, I'm giving you a special point just for trying. Anyway, now let's go to somebody who actually has prepared, somebody who actually knows what it is that they're talking about. Let me move to the jewel in our crown of the panel. The only lady here tonight.
I know, lady. Well, I appreciate everything that, of course, the opposing team has said, and you, Remy, 1 and 2. But firstly, I'd really like to establish something. Homosexuality is not natural. I put it in the same category as polyester. If God had wanted us to wear polyester, he would have given us soft, shiny, paisley skin. Now, obviously, gay parents will have and raise gay children. Do we need any more obsessed Kylie fans, Madonna looky-likeys or drag queens pacing up and down shaky stages, lip-syncing renditions of the pop artist du jour with no more talent than wearing a bad frock and the odd box step to entertain the gay masses? No. Gay parents will only perpetuate this ridiculous behaviour. Do we need lesbians to bring into the world more guitar-strumming Melissa Etheridges, Tracy Chapmans, or, God forbid, another Butch K.D. Lang with bad man hair and a voice akin to Johnny Cash? Definitely not. Do we need a lesbian couple to bring into the world another Ellen DeGeneres with her bad jokes, with nothing more to talk about than her wife and the fact that, oh, we love children? We love animals. No, we don't. Do we need some lesbian couple to give birth to another Rosie O'Donnell? Enough said. Lesbian children of lesbian parents, well, the only way that they will ever contribute to the functional heterosexual society and economy is by the incredible high rate of hummus consumption, comfortable footwear and hair clippers. Straight marriage will become meaningless if this behaviour, gays having children, is allowed. No siree. Heterosexual marriage has been around since cocky was an egg. It is proven to be the most successful constitution for raising children, so why change it? Isn't there enough of this mindless behaviour already on this mortal coil without the breeding by gays and lesbians enabled by the radical masses and the non-Christian persons preaching all sorts of weird stuff? Gay children? Children need role models. Children can never succeed in society with 2 mums or 2 dads. What a ridiculous concept, Kaylin and Kathleen. Parents bar humbug. The poor child brought up in this type of family will only ever eat baba ganoush with flatbread and tabbouleh. They will never be able to go out They'll never be able to go out in a nice pair of stilettos and party frock. No. She'll be the poor child sitting up the back of the class in brown, bad denim and a shaven head. Is this any way to bring up a girl? I think not. Lesbian children of lesbian mothers will only serve to kill femininity, big hair and beauty pageants. But how would gays have children? Let me talk anatomy for a moment. How the bollocks can a child be conceived in the act of gay sex? Children are not conceived by poking a willy up someone's jacksie. You need eggs, spermatozoa, a bottle of vodka and the backseat of a vehicle for a successful conception. Not a bottle of lube, a snort of Amyl and the latest Kylie CD playing in the background. Get real, gays. It ain't going to happen. And think of all those poor children of lesbians who get into crisis every Christmas as the turkey is basted with the instrument which once squirted life's liquid into mummy's chachi. Children are meant to be conceived in the act of alcohol-laced passion, not by any kitchen instrument with a tube and a hole. How absurd! Next they'll be using a spatula and cheese grater to get those little swimmers up the love tunnel. Gays, get real. Children are the last bastions of the heterosexual majority. Leave it to the experts. Heterosexuals are physically, intellectually and emotionally the only ones who conceive and raise children successfully. So get off the grass and get back on the dance floor at Northcote Plaza. You'll only flood the planet with more poofs, lesos, tahini and mirror balls than any planet needs. That is my argument in a nutshell.
You're a funny one, you are. But I tell you what, you did go over time, so you will lose a point for that. But we don't have time, so we're going to rush off right now and we'll come back because there's more. There's more. Come back. Welcome back. You're watching a heated debate, a Ben TV debate. The topic is that having children should be left to the heterosexuals. Some people think that's incorrect. Let's go to our third speaker. Mr. David Johnson
Thank you,
Bell.
Remy. I'm going to pick up a point that Dean made about the ability to ruin someone else's life. And I think this pleasure shouldn't just be restricted to heterosexual people. And there's a myriad of ways to ruin someone's life. I think the best one is when you have young children, you can dress them up in silly clothing, take lots of photos of them, stick it all over the internet for everyone to laugh. But even better, at their 21st birthday party, you can bring it out all again and humiliate them in front of all their friends. What more pleasure in life could there possibly be? You can also do some psychological torture with children. I think the best one is to stick them in a really hot car on a really hot day, drive for hours to some godforsaken little country town on a holiday, preferably somewhere that's outside of mobile phone range. There's nothing to do, and you stick them there for a week. I mean, honestly, what better things to do in life could there possibly be? But I think the best thing is that when they become adults, you can sit there and bitch and criticise them to their face at all times. You can hound them about their choice of jobs, their choice of partners, where they live, all sorts of stuff. And the best thing is you actually expect them to provide unconditional love to you at all time with no complaints. Honestly, why wouldn't you want to have children, to be honest? What other pleasure would there be in life to be able to ruin someone else's life? Thank you.
Do you know, I had forgotten how... Can you do me a favour? Can you just wipe it down the shirt, your finger? Can you lick it? Is it bitter?
Yes.
Yes, it's bitter. I'd forgotten about you.
Thank you, Remy.
All right, now, moving to the people who were saying that queers, no, they shouldn't have kids. No. That's this team. Now, we're about to move on to Dean Beck, and there's a special little thing that I've got for you because you're on the spotlight. It was your idea to have this debate.
Really?
So, yeah. So I think you better make it very good. And so let's hand over to Mr. Dean Beck.
Thank you very much. Well, let me begin by saying our team that are for gays having children, frankly, their arguments, I think, are a bit weak. In fact, I could use those exact arguments to suggest that really heterosexuals should only have children. However, I don't need to. I've got enough ammunition of my own. Quite frankly, the need for gay men to sow their seed, for lesbians to crack an egg, frankly, I don't quite understand. It really is the most selfish motivation to have children. I mean, is it to solidify their relationships? Haven't we had enough examples of heterosexual relationships that have failed and their sole motivation was to have children to keep the relationship together? Yeah, not really a good one as far as I'm concerned. There's also the argument that, you know, we need to be able to love something. Well, love yourself first. Get that shit worked out first before you start trying to bring other people into the world. And if you really, really must love something, how about adoption? I mean, there's this myth around around the corridors of our gay society today that gay people can't adopt. It's not true at all. Okay, in Victoria it's not possible, but in a lot of states it is quite possible for gay people to adopt, and it's far cheaper to move to one of those states than it is to spend $130,000 by going to India, for example, to get children, or the USA, or whatever, and put the life of a woman in danger purely to sow your own seed. I think it's bloody abhorrent. Now, if you really want to love a child, there are so many children that need loving homes. In 1971-72, there were 9,000 adoptions, more than 9,000 adoptions in Australia. Sadly, only 2 years ago, there were less than 500. What does that say? Well, maybe it says a lot about society today, but inter-country adoption is much, much easier these days than it ever was back in the 70s. That's my point. Adopt.
That was fantastically timed. Right on the team. I'm very impressed, and a very, very clear point. Now, I do need to point out this debate is all about just having a little bit of fun. So these views are not necessarily the views of the panel or of Ben TV or Channel 31 or anyone ever. In fact, why have you been watching? What are you, nuts? All right, now I do actually have a point scoring system. Now there's a plus and a minus, and I'm actually going to give it to this team because I was on it. Hey! But actually, I think our debates are getting sharper. We're actually having more people who have points. There was a bit of rebutting. I was quite impressed. Now, if people would
still
stop...
lost.
Prettier.
I don't
No,
know if we're
okay.
coming back.
In actual points, you actually did make a very good points, and you probably should have won, except for Linzi went overtime. No, it's not your fault at all.
Well, she prepared.
it's-
That's the point of difference.
I was prepared.
I
Yeah.
think there's no reward for coherency. I think that's the
Oh,
these
right.
debates. Yeah,
Uh,
it lost
yeah.
points. I think.
Really, it comes down to I'm really bad at math. So, look, I wanted to thank everybody who's joined us today, and of course, ultimately, you will have to make up your own mind. And I guess in closing, I would just have to say that the question does not come down to whether people think it's correct or right. The question is, will the kids thank us for it? And every parent knows that kids don't thank you for nothing. What's so bad about having two fathers? Oh my God, twice as many dad jokes. Of course I'm not dating anyone, Mum. No one's going to marry me. What girl wants two stepmothers? Mothers-in-law. When we go shopping for school shoes this year, could you please not ask to see something in a Cuban heel? Okay. So maybe sometimes our gay gets in the way, but it's nothing that our kids can't adapt to. For my birthday, I got a pink princess bedroom, but then my dad's made me swap rooms. I don't mind. I like pictures of David Beckham. Besides which, for her birthday party, Sally got a clown. I had freaking Madonna. Sally's present was a plastic Barbie doll. I got Daddy Minogue. Of course, our kids are going to be different. They come from a different set of social values, but does that make them better or worse than Muslim kids or German kids? Well, think what you may. We've been having children since the 80s, and the kids of queers are here. And from the information that we have there, they're well adjusted, doing a little above average scholastically, and are boringly normal. I had a million gripes about the straight couple who raised me. I'm still not sure they're mine. I don't think the question is, can we do it as well as heterosexuals? I think the answer, if that's the question, I think the answer is, can we do it any worse? Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week on Ben TV. Tune in again.